So how does New Zealand hook up with international researchers and get in on the vaccine game? That's what I asked the Minister for Research, Science and Innovation, Megan Woods, a short time ago.
There's actually some pretty big coalitions starting to come together around the work that's happening internationally. So what we are doing is putting $15 million, probably one of the biggest ones we'll target will be the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovation, which is based out of Norway. So it's not about saying, well, we're going to sprinkle the money to individual institutions that will take part in some of the big global consortia that are starting to bring together researchers from around the world.
So it's still a bet though, isn't it, Minister? So we're hoping that they will have access to a vaccine that is invented, but it could be that a corporate company gets there first.
Well, corporate companies have researchers that work on these. It's not corporate sitting in their offices that come up with vaccines. They work with international collaborators around the world. So but I think the hunt is on globally for this. And as you'll appreciate, there is a limited number of people around the world that are skilled in the disciplines required to do this. And a lot of them are drawn from universities, and that's who Big Pharma does often work with. What we are also working through is to ensure that we're talking both multilaterally and bilaterally through foreign affairs to start getting some international rules around what access to vaccines might look like. That one of the things that everybody knows, and it's accepted around the world, is that the country that manufactures first is going to have first mover advantage in terms of supply, in terms of being able to vaccinate its own population. Our best insurance in terms of being able to vaccinate our own people is to have manufacturing capability here, that it will be done through a licensing arrangement. So we're starting to talk about what the business models of a vaccine will look like as well, and that's a really important part of why we need to get into these conversations early.
So there's $5 million that's been set aside to support potential manufacturing capability. New Zealand experts say that to set up a facility to manufacture a vaccine in the quantities required, that could be $1 billion.
Oh, look, we've been really clear, and the manufacturers that I've spoken with today have been really clear that this is $5 million about the early stage work that we need to do. What are the regulatory things we have to do to make sure that we might be able to scale up from some reasonably small biotech companies that might need to scale up their capability and what they'd need to do. But really importantly, what we'd have to do to get the regulatory settings right for them to be producing human vaccine. We don't for a moment think this would be the end of it in terms of capital investment for producing manufacturing facilities. But bear in mind, we actually have a number of those facilities here in New Zealand already. But it's what we have to do is make sure right from the beginning that we're thinking about manufacturing while we're thinking about research and how we're funding that research. And that's what the $5 million for manufacturing does.
So when we get alongside some of these international projects, how you say there are talks, how do we guarantee that we will get access to whatever is discovered?
Well, one of the most important things we can do to guarantee that we have both access and knowledge, I would say, is equally important, is to be at the table and to be part of what's happening globally. The way we can guarantee we won't get access and won't have the vaccines that we need for New Zealanders is not to take part in anything. That we've got really well-connected scientists who have already started doing this work, that we've given some small amounts of funding to, that they're really important in terms of knowing what's happening globally. But then we're also using all our other channels. We've got our established purchase type arrangements and supply type arrangements that would be a business as usual model through Pharmac and through health. But when we put those together, and that's why the strategy is important, that is our best chance that we have to make sure that New Zealanders get access to the vaccine. And that is the underlying underpinning of all of our strategy, is ensuring that we can get early access for New Zealanders to a vaccine, because this is important not just for our health but for our economy as well.
Of course. But when you say we'll be part of a global coalition, for example, the EU is the example cited, part of a global coalition led by the EU, do we sign a contract that says if anyone working in this comes across the vaccine that we get access to it? How do we cement our our rights to share that information and be in the queue?
So they're the conversations that are happening right now, Lisa, and they're the international conversations as these coalitions come together. So what you would have seen is that this is actually being led out of MB, but obviously health needs to be involved in it. But the other government agency that is really critical to this is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And this is bringing together those strands of government. These are diplomatic conversations that are happening right now, and we need New Zealand to be in a position to be part of those conversations. And a big way that you be part of those conversations is to be making sure that you have your own researchers able to participate in the global fight.
So the 10 million that is going to assist local research, who's getting that?
Well, that will be distributed amongst the people with expertise in that. What will be happening is that the three ministers who are responsible for this, myself and Minister Peters and Minister Clark, will take a paper back to Cabinet in June about how that funding is being distributed. But we've started weeks ago talking to some of the major researchers in this field. It's a relatively small field, world-class experts, but relatively small. We've started talking to them, but we want to make sure we're capturing all the expertise, and we'll take that back in a few weeks to Cabinet, how that money is going to be distributed, because we need to get this out the door and we need to get funding to our researchers quickly.
Is this the first wave of funding? Is there going to be more? Because we've been told today that this is a, quote, start by people in the field.
Well, the research community was calling for $10 million, and we listened to that very carefully, that was the call. They were saying $10 million is what we need to make sure that we're getting New Zealand's world-leading scientists able to be doing their best for the global effort here. One of the other things is that we do have world-leading scientists, and I would fully expect that those scientists will work alongside some of their international colleagues through some of these international efforts, and some of those will have funding.